Something that I've realized recently is the difference between simply having the knowledge and being able to properly coach someone and instill that knowledge within them. It's kind of the same thing between knowing things and not being able to properly communicate them, whether through your speech or through writing, to be able to, properly convey the thoughts that you have into the thoughts of someone else so that they can see it pretty much the same way that you see it, which is a very hard skill and one of the big reasons, why I enjoy talking to people, why I enjoy writing, why I enjoy making these videos and working on both my speech and my ability to, comprehensively explain something to someone, because I think that's one of the biggest skills in us humans is just to be able to relay ideas and information to each other in the same way that we see it. And so, this difference between just having the knowledge and being able to properly instill it into someone through coaching is such a huge thing because for me, coaching people with their health, with their nutrition, sleep, exercise, etc., is a goal of mine and it has been for many years. It's something that I got into a lot when I was younger and I saw how much it could help me. I saw how much it did help me in all the aspects of my life, completely changed the person that I was in, getting my nutrition right, my body right, my sleep right, how it affected my brain, how it affected how other people perceived me, how it affected how I perceived myself, and working on my mindset and things like that. And those are many things that a lot of people neglect in their own life. They don't understand that, everything in your life is pretty much just how you think about it. Your whole life is just perception. Consciousness is simply perception, and perception can be very different than reality depending on the thoughts that you have. And it's not only in my life, but I've seen it transform so many other people's lives as well, whether it's simply online or actually, friends and family close to me, certain people here and there. And and also there's so many more people close to me, friends and family, that I know can be a lot healthier than they currently are, look better and feel better and just have a whole much like a fully transformed life just by, slowly incorporating different healthy habits into their life and it would completely change their life. And so that's why I'm so motivated by this because I know that people can change and change for the better by tenfold, by so much. And in the past, I've thought that, you know, I had to completely work with people like entirely one person at a time and fully transform everything about them. Everything from, sleep to nutrition to exercise to the toxins in their environment to their mindset, yada, yada. And while you do have to touch on all those things, it's hard to do it all at the same time. Even though the way I've done it is spread it out, it's a lot different and it's a very big um, investment for people to make, especially right off the bat. And so recently I've kind of transitioned toward with what I want to do for coaching. My goal is to have kind of a less intensive thing, simply kind of calls every once in a while, twice a month, things like that, where I help the person develop skills very slowly over time and slowly open up their brain to the different possibilities of all this stuff instead of really crushing someone into it for the first 1 to 6 months. Just having fairly often calls with them, once every 2 weeks type thing, where we just implement small things here and there to change things about their diet, about their exercise, about their sleep, and slowly over time they'll start to feel better and it will just create a recurring cycle where they will want to learn more, which is the big thing. The huge thing about these people that I see that could be so much better off is that they're ignorant to that fact. They don't understand it as well as I do that so much in their life could change by just doing these certain things. And because they don't have that perception of it, they don't attack it as ferociously as I think they should. And so instead of, forcing on that, which instead of forcing that onto people, which is what I've been trying to do, because that's what I've thought, I now think that I should be more, you know, more calm and kind of just slowly revealing and showing them what's possible and them slowly starting to feel it and get that positive feedback loop so that they can continue to pursue it as strongly or as not strongly as they personally want to, which if I think back on like my experiences with uh, programs or coaching through my life of all my sports and more things, I feel like I would respond best to that scenario, the scenario of, you know, slowly showing me what's possible and letting me kind of realize it and become interested in it myself rather than it being pushed on me. There have been exact scenarios I remember when uh one example when I was younger, seventh, eighth, ninth grade, first started, you know, doing resistance training with my previous club soccer coach, and he, you know, was trying to teach me a lot about how to properly resistance train and strength train as an athlete. And it wasn't like he was pushing things on me, but well, of course he is. He's like the coach there. He's telling me exactly what to do, how I should do it, things of that sort. But I was never really understanding the mechanisms why uh he wasn't really telling us kind of that. So I wasn't I was also young, so I didn't really fully grasp it. But as I went through the years, I started realizing more and more that like he was right on most of things. Most things he was very much right. I just didn't know why or understand why. And it wasn't necessarily like he was pushing it on me, but I didn't really fully understand it until I myself wanted to understand it and started learning more about the physiology behind all that stuff and how, the body works and responds in that manner. And it took me years to figure it out. But I think that's also, you know, a good business model of where I can work with more clients, I can help more people, but talk to them less often, not because, that's necessarily quote unquote better for them overall, but that it will lead to the best results. I'm still doing a lot more research on this, but it is sort of the direction I'm thinking about. As I've said, the topic of this video is knowledge versus coaching. And like I have not, of course, not all of the knowledge, but I have a lot more knowledge than the average person. And I have a very good amount that can help so many people in terms of overall health. Yet I'm not able to properly package it and hand it over to people so that they absorb it properly and implement it into their own life. I've failed on this in so many ways with so many people close to me that, I really want to help them out and I haven't been able to. And so I have to work on that to be able to show them what's possible and have them, become interested and want to learn more about it and implement it into their own life, as well as having a good business model where I can make a living off of that and be able to, you know, have a good life while doing exactly what I love, which is helping people transform in this way. And I think that being able to do those two things together would be the absolute pinnacle of a life for me, at least for what I see now. And so that's really what I wanted to talk about today in terms of, being able to transform your ideas and thoughts within your mind into those of others, whether it's just coaching or whether it's, to your friends or to your partner. Um, Really important skill of communication, but also the way I'm seeing it is trying to implement that into a sort of business model, and more of a lower stakes entry point in for people, I think is going to be a lot better and allow me to kind of lead them and point them in the right direction without forcing everything on them, and allow them to undertake most of the drive and curiosity behind it so that they can really go in, pinpoint, and change the things in their life slowly but surely. And over time, months and years will completely transform their life, which is where I'm going in the future of my health and nutrition coaching. And so that's all in this video. Thank you for watching.